Good evening, friends and neighbors. Thank you and welcome. Welcome so much to the Connecticut Handbell Musicians End of Summer Concert Series. It is wonderful to have you here, to welcome you at St. Paul's Church. My name is Tuesday Roop. I'm the rector of this wonderful place. And on behalf of myself, the leadership, and our congregation here at St. Paul's, we are so happy to have we can host this fine group of musicians for what is going to be, I know, a delightful evening of music. A couple of housekeeping details. This is the perfect moment for you to take out your phone or any other device that dings, tweets, chirps, or burps and switch it to silent. We are live streaming tonight, so this is an opportunity to welcome also friends who may be joining us remotely. And if you should need the restroom, because of the setup in here and it's a nice evening, I might recommend actually going out the doors of the sanctuary and going around into the parish hall doors there. So out and around, and then if you turn right, the restrooms are down the long hall, so you'll see them down there should you need them. I might encourage you to go that way this time just because of the logistics. So, and finally, I just wanted to draw a couple of beautiful objects in this room to your attention. There are two wonderful shiny brass handbells that have been upturned and placed on little frames just like that. There's one here and there's one at the back of the room, and these are very special for gathering donations. So we're so happy that we could offer this concert tonight free of charge. But if you are able to make a donation in support of live music, how rare and special that is, please feel free to share. All donations are going to chime in music in support of more events like this. So that's enough from me. I'm so honored that you're here. And now won't you help me join the Connecticut Handbell Musicians.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. We are the Connecticut Handbell musicians. We are from all over the state of Connecticut. Our home choirs, church choirs, community choirs, they all go to sleep over the summer. And these dedicated ringers wanted to keep going. They wanted to learn more, they wanted to grow more, and I had decided that this is going to be a safe place to do that. So for the last 10 years, this is our 10th year doing this. We have provided a safe place for people to stretch and grow and learn new things and experience music together. The Connecticut Handbell musicians are part of the Chime In Music Mission out of Bethlehem. That is a nonprofit organization that started out as just a handbell group, and it has blown up into multiple handbell choirs and children's choruses. Wherever there is a need in the musical environment, we're going to figure out how to build. And that's how Summerbell was created. There were people who wanted to ring, so we were like, sure, let's make a place for you to ring. So Chime In has lots of, like I said, lots of different groups. We are blessed to have a couple of in-house composers, one of whom is in college right now, and then one of whom is present tonight. Her name is Tony. Tony Sullivan has arranged the next piece. Oh, I didn't do it the first one was. Sorry about that. The first piece is called Clarion Call, and it is by, I don't actually have to, because you're holding the thing. You can see that. Very informal. So Tony has arranged Prelude on Faxed for handbells. And I had the pleasure of doing a dry run of it during a rehearsal on Friday night. She's like, I just want to hear what this sounds like. So the Friday night group played it for her, recorded it, so she could take it home, listen to it, then look at some more, brought it back, we got to play it again. So this is the debut of Tony's Prelude on Faxed. Getting all fixed up.
Hello? Can you hear me better? Excellent. Bravo, Tony. Thank you very much. So next on our program, we have lots of little groups embedded in our bigger groups. And as I said, this is Connecticut Handbell Musicians' 10th year, which means that this was a pre-COVID organization. And so what do you do during the dark times when you can't stand next to other ringers, and you can't be near other people, and you can't make music together the way you want to? Well, what a couple of us did was we created a little pod of safe humans, and we became best friends, and we decided we wanted to ring together like that forever. And so our name is Felicity. It's with, the name comes from the initials from our names, F-A for Feral, L-I for Libby. We used to be a quartet, but Libby can't ring anymore. S-A for Sam, and then D is Dawn. So Felicity is made of our names. And they're ready, so I'm going to go join them. We are going to be playing March Maestoso.
It's like she's getting dressed in front of an audience. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, because I'm taking the time to do it, I'm adding padding to my fingers before I put on my clothes.
Thank you so much. It really is a blessing and a joy to get to ring with your best friends. So I am going to start with a question for you, and then you're going to have a chance to ask us some questions, because we've done a bunch of things that maybe you don't know what's going on up here. So for how many of you is this your first time seeing a handbell choir? Oh, wow! That's pretty great. That's awesome. So we just featured a technique called 4 in hand, where you're holding 2 bells at the same time, but the clappers only ring in one orientation. If you turn it this way, so the handle's facing this way, it doesn't ring. So what that allows me to do is to hold 2 in one hand, and if I ring it this way, it rings. And if I turn it this way, that one rings, and this one doesn't, because the clapper's facing the other way. And that allows us to have twice as many bells as we have hands. And sometimes we're passing them to each other and other things. Here is your F sharp if you're missing it. Does anybody have any other questions about what you're seeing going on up here? Yes? The gloves, or the fingers, or my fingers. So my fingers, I'll start with the gloves. The gloves there are many reasons to wear gloves when you ring handbells. One of them is because your hands are covered in oils and filth and boogers and things that you don't want transferring all over the place. So we try to wear the gloves to keep that stuff off of the bells, because it takes us a very long time to take the bells apart and clean them to get them shiny and new. We're having a bell cleaning party tomorrow if anybody wants to come. We'll be there for 8 hours taking apart 3 sets of handbells to clean them. So part of the deal is to keep some of that stuff off so it's not so difficult to clean them. But the other reason I wear gloves is to protect my hands. Because when I'm ringing 4 in hand, particularly the bigger bells, there's pressure on my fingers. When I'm ringing the huge ones in the back, like, Candace, can you just hold one of those bells up in the air? Just hold it up. Those? Right. So those are very heavy, and they create calluses on this part of your hands. So whatever you can do to protect your hands. If I got a blister, oh my goodness, the world would end. It would be done. I want to take one more question, even though they look like they're ready. Does anybody have one more question? Yes, sir.
What are those gray sticks?
The gray sticks are, those are called hand chimes. And we play them with the bells. They have a purer tone. The bells have an overtone series, and the chimes are a pure tone. They sound very different, and they complement the bells. Each one of them is a note on the keyboard, and each bell is a note on the keyboard, and without any of them, our melody would be missing pieces. I'm going to turn around and conduct. The next piece so the next piece we're going to start is called Morning Light. It is by Stevie Berryman, and we do have the pleasure of being part of Chime In to go to events like Area 1 Festival, just happened this summer, and it's a huge event. And at Festival, clinicians come from all over the country to lead us, and we learn from them and we ring with them. Stevie, who composed this next piece, was one of our clinicians during Festival. She's a powerhouse, but this particular piece comes from a very peaceful, quiet place on a lake, in the middle of the woods, maybe some haze, just before dawn. go. 1, You heard all that counting because I didn't turn my mic off. That's so great. That's so great. So, as you might imagine, trying to ring slowly and not lose track of time is an extraordinarily hard thing to do because you want to be moving. You want to have those extra pieces in between that let you know where you are in time. So doing something slow and lyrical like this is pretty difficult. These guys have been exemplary at trying new things. Really great. I'm going to take a minute to introduce Vicki Morosky. Vicki is the newly elected, not appointed, Connecticut State Chair of Handbell Musicians of America. She's going to tell you why you should care about Handbell Musicians of America, and I'm going to go set up some bells.
Hi, thank you for that really nice introduction. Boy, this is loud. The Handbell Musicians of America is dedicated to advancing the musical art of handbell ringing and hand chime ringing through education, community, and communication. Little did Margaret Shercliffe know that when she brought back those 8 Whitechapel bells from England back in 1907, and she brought them back to Boston, we would become the organization that we are today. The popularity of handbells has spread across from New England through the entire country, although I really do think that we're the best in New England. So from the early 20th century, it started to spread, and by 1954, they had their first Handbell Festival that brought together groups from all over, mostly the Northeast, but they brought us all together, and we've been ringing together ever since. Now, my church in Ohio bought their first set of bells in about 1962, and in 1963, I started ringing with the Children's Handbell Choir. I was 10. So yeah, if you're doing the math, that's 62 years I've been playing handbells. So now, as the Connecticut State Chair, I represent all of the Connecticut ringers in the state of Connecticut into Area 1, which is Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and then in each part of the country there's another area. So we're divided and yet we're all together. My goal for this year as the Connecticut State Chair is to encourage new ringers to join us and to give opportunities to the ringers who aren't quite ready for everything, to bring them up to speed through workshops, individual groups, by having our group come in and show people how to ring. There are a lot of handbells in your churches that you may not even know about. Your handbell program may have trickled off. This is my job, to bring handbells back to Connecticut. This is what I want to do. If there's any way that I can help you do that, just let me know. We have a website, you can get together. I'm sure you can help us find, and any one of us is happy to get you in touch with me and we can do it. So now the next question is, have you ever tried to ring? Because today, at the end of the concert, we encourage all of you to come up here, grab a bell, try to ring it. We'll show you what to do with it, and we'll show you how to ring it. It really is a lot of fun. So think of the possibilities and come try it with us. Now I would like to introduce the next piece by Felicity. This is In the Hall of the Mountain King. This piece was composed by Grieg in 1875 for Ibsen's play Peer Gynt. Now maybe you've heard of the Peer Gynt suite, but this is the easily recognizable theme that runs through in this play. The tune itself is ominous, it's intense, and it's often used in movies today as scary intensity. No problem. In the play Peer Gynt, Peer stumbles into this dreamlike hall where he's threatened by the Troll King. He's surrounded by gnomes, goblins, and trolls who want to kill him. The music gradually builds in intensity as Peer tries to escape, creating a sense of escalating suspense and a dramatic chase scene.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks. So now how much longer do I have to vamp up here?
We really should start another hour or so. We should stop now.
Do you think?
Okay, this is good stuff. Good stuff.
Okay. Are you ready? I present to you Felicity.
Everybody at the tables today is doing something that they are uncomfortable with or something that is too hard for them. There are people who have never played in the melody before. There are people who have never picked up the big bells before. There is stuff with performance anxiety. There's people trying to play two bells in one hand that they've never done it. So everybody today is stretching and growing and working towards a better product. And this is a safe environment to try those things out. Weaving, changing time signatures. When people are ringing in their home churches, they're often at the same position, at the same bells. They're comfortable with these bells. These are my bells. They feel good in my hand. I know exactly what they feel like. I know exactly how they ring. I don't want to try those bells. Those bells are scary. They look heavy. These ones move really fast. These tiny ones, they are playing so fast up there. So this environment is where people get to try new things. And Chime In really strives to be an organization that has no barriers for entry. No barriers. You don't need to know how to read music. If you have a physical or mental handicap, that does not matter. We're going to find a way to make sure that you can play with us. And so making a safe space where you can make mistakes and try new things is important to us. So the next one that we're going to do is called A Joyful Life. It's subtitled Daffodil Valley. And I chose it because it is in 5/4 time. Well, that's an odd number, right? I mean, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you see 3 often. 1, 2, 3. Waltzes, 3. 1, 2, 3, right? What do you have in 5? 5 is just... So that was the challenge for this. Can we count to 5 consistently? No. More often, can we count to 10 because each of the notes is broken in half? So I do want to do a quick introduction of my ringers, only by way of saying, who up here has been ringing for 6 months or less? Who up here has been ringing from 1 to 5 years? Ringing, keep your hands up. Everybody who's already raised your hand, keep your hands up. Who has been ringing for 10 years or less? Do we have 15 years or less? Do we have 20? All right, everybody put your hands down. Now I want to see single hands. Do we have 20 years or more? 20 years or more. Hands up. 25 years or more. 30 years or more. 35 years or more. 45 years or more. Vicki already gave away the answer. Vicki's been ringing since the birth of time. So anyway, here comes Daffodil Valley. They are all ready. They're so great. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. So we found the next piece. Power low. We found the next piece at a group rep reading session. Finding your local churches, your local community groups, finding the ringers in your area and supporting them by going out to see them in concert is essential to keep our instrument going. We don't want it to die in the church. We want to bring it out into the world. We want people to know that it exists and it's fun. So the next one, we went to a reps reading session with Shoreline Ringers. They were hosting and they just said, come on down, we'll read a bunch of music that nobody's played before and see how we like it. And I loved it. I immediately loved this one because my daughter loves this one. And you know, you just do stuff for your kids when you can. So much so that we rang through it and I said, could we just ring it one more time so I can record it? So I can bring it home and show my daughter that it's cool. And they were like, oh sure, we've got all the time, whatever, that's fine. I liked it so much that we purchased a new instrument to play with this song. It's called an ocean drum. And it is the coolest thing ever. Can you play the ocean drum back there? Yeah. So instead of a rain stick, this makes the waves in the ocean. It gives us a place by the sea. It's so great to be able to be inspired to just say, you know what, I think we need one of these. Maybe we'll use it again, I hope so. So this is called How Far I'll Go. I would invite you, if you've ever seen Moana and you would like to sing along, I will turn around and cue you when it's your time to sing, but the words are in your program. So help yourself to singing along if you'd like to, because that is part of what Chime In does. We ask you to chime in with us in making the music.